Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are cracking open the master vault of the human mind to dissect a book that contains the literal source code for your happiness, your confidence, and your ultimate success in life. If you have ever felt like an invisible hand is constantly holding you back from achieving your biggest goals, if you find yourself plagued by a relentless inner critic that tells you that you are not smart enough, rich enough, or talented enough, or if you feel trapped in old, destructive habits that you just cannot seem to shake, this video is about to rewrite your entire reality. We are diving deep into a monumental story breakdown of the life-changing masterpiece, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. Shad Helmstetter is a pioneering behavioral psychologist who spent decades studying human behavior and personal achievement. He made a staggering, almost terrifying discovery. From the moment you were born, your brain has been continuously programmed by the world around you. Unfortunately, over 80% of that programming was entirely negative, counterproductive, and limiting. The book introduces a scientific, step-by-step methodology to help you consciously take control of your internal dialogue, wipe out the old, virus-infected software of your subconscious mind, and replace it with high-performance positive self-talk that will completely transform your life. Get comfortable, grab your favorite journal, clear your mind of all distractions, and let us discover how to master the conversations you have with yourself when nobody else is listening. Part 1. The Architecture of the Human Biological Computer. Let us start our story by looking at a profound truth about how your physical brain actually operates. Helmstetter asks us to imagine the human brain not just as a random bundle of nerves and emotions, but as the most powerful, sophisticated biological computer in the known universe. This biological computer is endlessly efficient, and it runs exactly like any modern machine you use today. It has a hard drive, it has an operating system, and most importantly, it runs specific software programs that dictate your daily actions. Now, think about how a computer program works. If you install a beautifully coded, high-efficiency graphic design program onto a computer, the machine will output stunning visuals. But if you download a virus-infected, poorly written file, the entire computer will glitch, lag, freeze, and crash. The computer doesn't argue with the software. It doesn't say, "This program is bad for me, so I refuse to run it." It simply executes the code it was given with absolute, unyielding obedience. Your subconscious mind is that exact hard drive. It doesn't know the difference between a real fact and an imagined thought. It doesn't know the difference between a constructive belief and a destructive lie. Whatever words, thoughts, and ideas you feed into your biological computer over and over again, the subconscious accepts as absolute truth. It files that information away as your core programming. Then, it quietly orchestrates your behaviors, your posture, your confidence levels, and your daily decisions to make sure your external reality perfectly matches that internal code. You are not held back by a lack of talent or opportunity. You are simply running outdated, broken software that you didn't even realize was installed. Part 2. The Tragic History of Our Negative Programming. To understand how our software got so incredibly corrupted, we have to travel back to your early childhood. Look at the life of an ordinary kid growing up in the modern world. Helmstetter conducted massive corporate and behavioral studies and uncovered a heartbreaking statistic. By the time an average human being reaches the age of 18, they have been told the word no, or what they cannot do, over 148,000 times. Think about that massive number. 148,000 times you were told, "Stop doing that. You are not old enough. You are not smart enough to do that. Be careful or you will fail. That dream is unrealistic." Or "Look at your brother. Why can't you be more like him?" Compare that to how many times you were given pure, unconditional, empowering, positive reinforcement. The positive messages pale in comparison. Our parents, teachers, and peers didn't do this because they were cruel or evil. They did it because they loved us and wanted to protect us from danger, or because they were running their own broken programming that they received from their parents. But the biological computer inside your head didn't care about their intentions. It just recorded the data. It heard, "You cannot, you cannot, you cannot," day after day, year after year. By the time you enter adult life, your subconscious mind is completely saturated with a massive archive of self-limiting beliefs. When you try to start a new business, go on a date, or step up for a promotion, your internal computer automatically searches its database, finds the old childhood files marked failure and inadequacy, and plays them right back to you as your dominant inner thoughts. Part 3. The 5 distinct levels of self-talk. How do we begin to fight back against this mountain of negative data? Helmstetter explains that we must first become acutely aware of how we talk to ourselves. He breaks human internal dialogue down into 5 distinct levels, moving from the most destructive to the most transcendent. Level 1. The level of negative acceptance. This is the lowest, most toxic form of self-talk, yet it is the level where the vast majority of human beings spend their entire lives. Level 1 self-talk is characterized by phrases like, "I can't do that. I have always been terrible with money. I am just a natural procrastinator. I can never lose weight. Or I am terrible at remembering people's names." Notice what happens when you utter these words. You are actively stating a negative reality and accepting it as a permanent fact of your identity. When you tell your brain, "I am terrible with money," your biological computer says, "Got it." Our identity is that we are bad with money. The next time you get a paycheck, your subconscious mind will actively push you to make reckless, impulsive financial decisions to fulfill that identity. You are using your own voice to hammer the nails into your personal coffin. Level 2. The level of recognition and the desire to change. Level 2 sounds slightly better on the surface, but it is actually a dangerous wolf in sheep's clothing. This level is defined by words like, "I need to," "I should," or "I ought to." You say to yourself, "I really need to start working out," "I should spend less time scrolling on my phone," or "I ought to organize my desk." Helmstetter explains that level 2 self-talk is a complete failure because it focuses entirely on your deficiencies while offering absolutely no solution. When you say, "I should start a budget," you are subconsciously reminding yourself that you are currently failing at managing your money. The words create a toxic cloud of guilt, shame, and hesitation. The word "should" implies that you have already failed to take action, and your brain responds by freezing up, keeping you stuck in the exact same loop of inaction. Level 3. The level of decision and the will to change. This is the monumental turning point in your cognitive transformation. Level 3 is the very first level of positive self-talk that actively begins to overwrite your bad programming. It is characterized by the phrases, "I no longer," or "I am now." Instead of saying, "I should stop smoking," a level 3 practitioner says, "I no longer smoke cigarettes." Instead of saying, "I need to stop being lazy," they say, "I no longer waste my mornings." Notice the radical shift in power. You are not wishing for change. You are making an executive decision in the present moment. You are actively stating that an old behavior has officially ended. You are drawing a line in the sand inside your subconscious mind, forcing your biological computer to clear out the old habits and prepare for a brand new operational routine. Level 4. The level of the better you. This is the most effective, high-performance level of self-talk that you will use to build your daily confidence, drive your career goals, and maximize your health. Level 4 self-talk always begins with the 2 most powerful words in the human language. I am. I am organized. I am full of vibrant energy and health. I am a highly successful salesperson who delivers immense value to my clients. I am calm, confident, and completely in control of my emotions under pressure. Helmstetter emphasizes that level 4 self-talk must always be stated in the present tense, never the future tense. If you say, "I will be rich," your brain files that under something that will happen tomorrow, and tomorrow never arrives. You must tell your brain that the reality is happening right now. Even if your bank account is empty or you are completely out of shape, you tell your brain, "I am financially responsible and dedicated to fitness." Your subconscious mind will instantly experience cognitive dissonance. It will see the gap between your words and your current reality, and it will work around the clock to change your behaviors until your physical life matches your new I am declaration. Level 5. The level of universal affirmation. Level 5 is the spiritual transcendental peak of human consciousness. It is the self-talk of absolute unity and divine connection. It uses statements like, "I am one with the universe," "I am filled with absolute love," or "I am guided by a higher power." While Level 4 optimizes your earthly performance and your career goals, Level 5 grounds your soul in absolute peace, gratitude, and purpose. It is the ultimate antidote to the anxiety, fear, and existential dread of the modern world. Part 4. The science of neuroplasticity and behavioral repetition. Why does this psychological framework work so profoundly? Helmstetter's work aligns beautifully with modern neuroscience and the discovery of neuroplasticity. For centuries, scientists believed that the human brain became completely hardwired after a certain age, meaning that your personality, habits, and intelligence levels were permanently set for life. But today, we know that the brain is like soft clay. It is constantly remodeling itself based on repetition. Every time you think a thought or say a phrase, a tiny electrical impulse fires between the neurons in your brain. If you repeat that thought over and over again, those neurons build a physical pathway called a neural network. Think of it like walking through a dense, overgrown forest. The first time you walk through the bushes, it is incredibly difficult. You have to push branches out of the way, step over rocks, and forge a raw path. But if you walk down that exact same path every single day for a year, the bushes will disappear, the dirt will pack down, and you will create a smooth, effortless, beautiful hiking trail. Your negative self-talk created massive, deep superhighways in your brain. Because you have spent 30 years saying, "I am bad at math," or "I am a terrible public speaker," that neural pathway is wide open and incredibly fast. To destroy that negative path, you do not have to fight it. You simply have to stop walking down it. By intentionally deploying level 4 positive self-talk, you start carving out a brand new neural trail. In the beginning, it will feel awkward, unnatural, and fake. But through the power of relentless, daily repetition, that new positive pathway will become a massive superhighway, while the old negative path completely withers away and dies from neglect. Part 5. The Radical Rules for Designing Your Self-Talk Script. To successfully program your biological computer, you cannot just throw random positive phrases at it whenever you feel sad. You need to design a highly structured, scientifically optimized self-talk script. Helmstetter outlines several non-negotiable rules for creating scripts that actually break through to the subconscious. First, your scripts must be incredibly specific. Do not just say, "I want my life to be better." Tell your brain exactly what better looks like. Use phrases like, "I am highly focused, completing my tasks with precision and joy every single afternoon." Second, your scripts must use absolute positive phrasing. Your subconscious mind cannot process negative qualifiers or the word "don't." If you say to yourself, "I don't want to fail this test," your brain completely ignores the word "don't" and focuses entirely on the word "fail." It visualizes failure and programs you to freeze up. Instead, you must flip the sentence to frame the positive outcome. "I am ready, sharp, and full of clarity during my examination." Third, you must display absolute consistency. You cannot read your self-talk script once on a Monday morning and expect your life to change by Friday. You must read your scripts out loud with intense emotional conviction multiple times every single day. Read them the moment you wake up when your brain is in a highly suggestible alpha state. Read them right before you go to sleep. Put them on index cards, stick them to your bathroom mirror, or record your own voice on your phone and listen to them while you drive to work. You must flood your system with the new code until it becomes your natural mental atmosphere. Part 6. Overcoming the fear of the imposter syndrome. As you begin to implement this practice, a massive internal battle will inevitably explode inside your mind. Helmstetter warns us about the phenomenon of the internal rebound, which most people today call the imposter syndrome. Imagine you have struggled with your weight for 10 years. You sit down in your room, take out your journal, and write down a beautiful level 4 self-talk script that says, "I am lean, healthy, full of vitality, and I love nourishing my body with clean foods." As you read those words out loud, a small, cynical voice in the back of your head is going to scream, "Who are you kidding? Look in the mirror. You just ate a giant box of donuts last night. You are a complete fraud and a liar." This internal pushback causes thousands of people to abandon self-talk altogether. They assume that because they feel like an imposter, the technique isn't working. But Helmstetter explains that this friction is actually proof that your programming is working perfectly. The old software on your hard drive is fighting desperately for its survival. It sees the new incoming code as an invasive alien force and is throwing everything it has to reject it. You must ignore the inner critic. You must realize that your self-talk is not a statement of your past failures. It is an active blueprint for your future creation. When an architect draws a blueprint for a magnificent skyscraper, they do not look at the empty, muddy construction plot and say, "This blueprint is a lie," because the building doesn't exist yet. They know the blueprint dictates what will be built. Treat your positive self-talk as your architectural blueprint. and keep reading the script until the physical structure of your life rises to match your vision. Part 7. The diverse applications of cognitive reprogramming. The beauty of Helmstetter's framework is that it can be applied to every single domain of human experience. The book takes us through multiple scenarios showing how different individuals revolutionize their realities by altering their internal scripts, transforming your financial blueprint. If you grew up in a household where your parents were constantly fighting over money, crying at the kitchen table over bills, and shouting phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "rich people are greedy and corrupt," your financial programming is deeply damaged. You likely suffer from a subconscious fear of wealth. To fix this, you must deploy an aggressive financial self-talk script. You read daily statements like, "I am an excellent manager of my resources. Wealth flows into my life because of the massive value I create for others. I use money wisely, I save consistently, and I am completely worthy of financial freedom." By rewriting your money story, you stop sabotaging your business deals and start spotting massive economic opportunities that were previously invisible to your scarcity mindset. Revolutionizing your relationships and emotional health. Many people are trapped in toxic relationship loops because their internal programming tells them that they are unlovable, broken, or destined to be abandoned. They enter relationships full of anxiety, jealousy, and possessiveness, which naturally drives their partners away, fulfilling their negative prophecy. By changing your self-talk to statements like, "I am completely worthy of love, respect, and deep emotional security. I extend kindness easily, I communicate with absolute clarity, and I attract healthy, supportive relationships into my life," you change your emotional baseline. Your inner security rises, your social anxiety dissolves, and you naturally emanate a calm, welcoming energy that builds deep, lasting human trust. Part 8. The roadmap to becoming the ultimate programmer of your destiny. As our incredible story reaches its final conclusion, Helmstetter hands us the ultimate key to human sovereignty. He reminds us that there are 3 types of people in this world. There are those who are completely unaware of their programming, living as passive victims of whatever childhood messages they happen to receive. There are those who are aware of their negative thoughts but choose to wallow in them, using their shoulds and need tos to feed their victim mentality. And then, there are the ultimate programmers. These are the rare, elite individuals who realize that their life is entirely their own creation. They look at their internal hard drive, take total responsibility for every piece of data stored within it, and step into the role of the master software developer of their own soul. You have the power to choose your words today. You have the power to silence the internal critic, to delete the 148,000 no's of your past, and to step into the absolute power of your I am. Stop letting the old, accidental code dictate your future happiness. Step up to the keyboard of your mind, install the software of champions, and watch as your entire world transforms into a magnificent masterpiece of joy, abundance, and absolute victory. What is the #1 I am statement or positive level 4 script that you are going to write down and commit to reciting every single morning this week? Let me know your cognitive breakthroughs in the comments down below. If this deep dive summary handed you the keys to your internal biological computer and gave you a blueprint for absolute mental freedom, show your incredible support by clicking that like button, subscribe to the channel so you never miss another life-changing book breakdown, and share this video with someone you love who needs to quiet their inner critic today. Wipe out your negative code, reprogram your subconscious mind, step into your power, and I will see you in the next video.